Wow, Billy Joe Saunders has been quite the headache requesting different ring sizes, and it has now been resolved. Canelo Saunders will commence, but I want to let you know what went on and kind of what we were dealing with in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, y'all know what to do. Before I get started, make sure you click the link to get ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus, they have a ton of content, past archive fights, documentaries, docuseries, specials for your viewing enjoyment and pleasure. Get ESPN Plus by clicking the link in the description. You can also get the bundle, ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, all three of those for one low price by clicking the link in the description, which does in turn help the channel. Now, this whole ring situation has been a mess, and it's kind of the first time that I could recall a fighter putting up so much of a stink about the size of the ring. You know, most fighters just kind of fight, and when there's a given A side, as is the case with Canelo Alvarez, then, you know, you typically understand the rules, but not Billy Joe Saunders. Some people call it a mind game, but basically what went on is Billy Joe Saunders says the ring was too small and he preferred a bigger ring. So Billy Joe Saunders was threatening to ruin the whole main event, go home, fly home, and that would be the end result if he didn't get his way and get a 22-foot ring. Canelo said, fine, go ahead, give him what he wants. And I think there's even a TMZ interview where he says, give him the entire stadium if he wants, like obviously being sarcastic. So Billy Joe, Eddie Hearn says, Billy Joe, this is a direct quote, all of his fights with us have been in a 22-foot ring. When I got here, I was told he wanted 20 feet inside the ropes. I cleared that with Canelo and he said no problems. But then Billy Joe Saunders says, I want 22 foot. It was back and forth, and I didn't want to go back to Canelo. So Canelo was already lenient, and Billy Joe Saunders said, no, it has to be even bigger, or whatever the situation is. Eddie Hearn continues, says, eventually I had no choice. I don't want to play a game of bluff, but Billy Joe Saunders was saying, I'm going home, I'm not fighting. I actually believe him because he's that crazy. So Billy Joe Saunders wouldn't do anything with the media, and he wouldn't do anything on that first day until this was resolved. So he was basically having a media blackout until he got his way, aka a temper tantrum. Eddie Hearn continues by saying he probably wouldn't have done the press conference, so I had to go to Canelo and said, hey, we got a problem here. This guy wants this. And before I could even finish a sentence, he went, no problem. I went blimey. All that drama, and Canelo just said, fine. What was negotiated when they first got here was Team Saunders asked me for a 20-foot ring, and I cleared that with Canelo. So I didn't really want to go back to him. Canelo gave an interview yesterday where he says, I don't care about the ring, honestly. I had to go to see him and say, Billy Joe Saunders says he's going home. So you can either play a game of bluff and run it to the wire, or do you care? Canelo says, no, I don't care at all, and that was it. So Canelo, a man's man, not playing any games. He just said, give the baby what he wants. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's having a temper tantrum, whatever. Just extend it 2 feet. He's crying over 2 feet, whatever. Eddie Hearn continues and says, so now Billy Joe is going to do the media stuff today, and we're finally going to get to see face-offs between the two. I had John Ryder and Carlos Gongora here because it's a massive event. They've given me their word, Billy Joe Saunders and his dad Tom, that this is the last thing they were asking for. We don't want to be difficult. Who knows? I do think some of this whole episode is mind games, but Billy Joe Saunders is good at that. This is the first time that Canelo Alvarez is fighting someone that basically has no respect for him. I'm sure he respects him as a fighter, but he's not like, thank you for the opportunity. He's not going to get in the ring in front of 70,000 fans and just crumble. That's actually going to lift him. So that's the latest with the ring issue for for your clarification. It has been resolved. It is no longer an issue. But to me, this is all corny. Like, mind games or not, there's other mind games that you can play. Canelo, true man's man, true professional, true student of the sport and consummate professional. It's business. It's a business. It's a fight. He's like, this is how much I'm getting paid. This is what me and my team agreed to. I can make my weight. We'll see at the weigh-in tomorrow. Both fighters, if they make their weight, or, you know, Billy Joe Saunders is just a bunch of gimmicks and stuff. And to me, it's rather laughable that in my opinion, I think Canelo beats Billy Joe Saunders. I have not second guessed my personal prediction. I have not had to think twice about it. I think Canelo beats Billy Joe Saunders. So this is going to be, if all this skullduggery and mind games or complaining and crying and, oh, I want a 20-foot ring, and the Canelo says, okay, we'll give you a 20-foot ring. And he was like, no, I needed 22 feet on the inside from perimeter to perimeter. And then Canelo's like, whatever, just give him the bigger ring. It's a ring. I'm going to do my thing. You know, respects to Canelo for that. But it's just going to look extremely bad that you have a British fighter coming to Texas in American soil, Canelo's second home. The crowd's going to be pro Canelo. If he does not win this fight, it's going to be bad because, one, he's losing his belt. Two, he will no longer be undefeated, and he'll lose his he'll have a blemish on his record. They're doing a bunch of chants like Tyson Fury. Like, this is what some of the British fighters, like most of the fighters that I've seen, they're there to fight, train, and do their thing. But it looks like with Tyson Fury and his crew and Billy Joe Saunders, they're trying to lift up Billy Joe's spirit. And it's almost like, to me, I don't know how it is in England with this, but to an American, this looks like desperation to me. This looks like you have to do all these extra charades, shenanigans, and gimmicks to try to beat this man, Canelo Alvarez. You have to try to raise and lift his spirit and sing song and do a bunch of sing-alongs and Sweet Caroline and chants and stuff to try to get your man to rise to the occasion. Meanwhile, Canelo's team is just being professional. Eddie Reynoso is just being a trainer and a coach and, you know, doing his thing. Same thing with Canelo. They're not really bothered about anything. They're a professional team that have synergy. They've worked together and fought for most of Canelo's career. Definitely his biggest fights. They've been a duo or a tandem if you add Chepo, you know. So I just feel like Billy Joe Saunders at the end of this is going to look foolish showing up in robes. And I did a video about this subject, but check it on the channel. This is why you guys got to subscribe to the channel, because I drop the latest and greatest and keep you informed as to what's going on in this beautiful sport, the sweet science of boxing. But I made a video about it. Billy Joe Saunders was speaking to a Mexican reporter who was just doing his job. And in the mid interview, he's taunting the reporter and insulting him, saying, hey, your breath smell like ish. Your breath smell like ish, for a couple cheap laughs. And I think all this stuff is corny, and it's going to be even cornier on Saturday night if you lose. Like, why are you doing that? It's just like, what age are you? Are you a like little kid, 15 years old? You a preteen? You know what I mean? Not showing up and, oh, hey, I'm watching Scarface, and, you know, insulting a Mexican reporter who really has nothing to do with it, crying about the ring. Again, if Billy Joe Saunders does not win, and I don't want to hear, there's a lot of people that say, oh, he can win rounds or he could trouble Canelo. I don't care about none of that. If he does not win, this is going to be a long trip back to the UK. And me personally, I don't even care if I watch Billy Joe Saunders fight after that, if he loses this fight, because it's too much gimmicks. Let's get back to more fighting and more boxing. You know, all this other stuff is cool. Like, it's British humor, it's just a little bit of banter. Like, do you have to do all this extra stuff and cry about? And the funny thing is this: the racist fans and the true bias fans, they say Floyd Mayweather is a chicken, a coward, a yellow belly. And even when Marcos Maidana, his gloves did not look up to par, and it looked like the stuffing, the the insides and the padding have been redistributed or packed in or whatever, tampered with. Floyd was like, oh, hell no, he ain't wearing, this is a power puncher, experienced power puncher at that, with Marcos Maidana. And he's like, hell no, he ain't wearing that. He ain't wearing them. I've had thousands of fights. These gloves ain't got no padding. And Floyd was ostracized. A black American Olympian was ostracized by old media saying, oh, he's a coward, just fight him with whatever gloves. Same thing with Pacquiao didn't want to do a drug test. It was Pacquiao who messed up the initial negotiations because he did not want to do a drug test. And then you had the racist fans and old media and the biased fans. They said Floyd's a coward. He need to fight Pacquiao. Who cares if he's on something? Just fight him. I've been in the boxing game for a decade plus. So like I've been here for this whole thing, and I've been, you know, entertaining y'all and giving y'all the news and stuff like that. So I remember these moments when Mayweather and Pacquiao was a conversation, and then the negotiations faltered. People said, who cares? You're a bitch if you don't fight Pacquiao, even if he's on something. Fight him on something. But now Billy Joe Saunders is crying. You have a Caucasian British fighter, right? Gypsy fighter. And he's crying about the ring and saying, oh, I don't want it 20 feet on the inside. Now it has to be 22, and making all these changes. And everybody's supposed to just hold hands, sing Sweet Caroline, and love this character. But once again, when it's a black fighter like Floyd Mayweather, he's getting called a coward for not wanting an opponent, a power puncher, to be able to wear gloves where it looks like the padding has been redistributed. But Billy Joe Saunders is out here nitpicking and crying about a ring. All this to, in my opinion, lose to Canelo. So yeah, it's going to be a long trip back to the UK if Billy Joe Saunders does not win this fight. I don't care if he had a good effort, because that's what it comes to. Just like Demetrius Andrade versus Liam Williams. He has a parade for losing the fight back at Wales. You know what I'm saying? And it just becomes like a pat on the back. Oh, good job. Boxing wants to celebrate the losers more than they want to celebrate the winners when it's certain guys. Because Liam Williams, I guess, lasted 12 rounds with Demetrius Andrade, that's supposed to be a thing we're supposed to all respect. And it's just crazy because, like I said, guys like Floyd Mayweather, they get called this and that. Jamal Charlo is at 160, but some of the same fans and some of the same racist fans, if he doesn't fight David Benavidez in his very next fight, even though Benavidez had a fight lined up, you know, at 168, they call him names. But Billy Joe Saunders is the one, instead of fighting, he's the one with all these gimmicks, and he's like causing the promoter more work and has to keep talking to Canelo to try to sue this over. He's threatening to pull out and leave over the fight. So you tell me what it is. Let me know how I did in this video. Also, use my link in the description to get TUBEBUDDY. Great way to level up your YouTube content if you upload. I highly suggest TUBEBUDDY. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. You dig, we work. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TUBEBUDDY. I've used TUBEBUDDY for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TUBEBUDDY is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TUBEBUDDY and level up your channel faster. We working.